the iPhone XR doesn't suck, nor is it overpriced. And if you hear any differently, then you're wrong, because my opinion is the only one that matters. Okay, that's not true, but you get the idea. It's okay to have a different opinion. But I'm tired of seeing a ton of hate for what is actually a good phone and a step in the right direction for Apple. Hey, how's it going? I'm Josh from 91 Tech, and today in this video, we're going to be talking about why the iPhone XR doesn't suck. Now, before I get started here, disclaimer, I like Apple. I do. I like Apple, and that is a very controversial thing to say on YouTube. There's a lot of people who will crucify you for liking Apple, but hey, I like them regardless. Sorry. That said, I don't consider myself somebody who will always agree with everything Apple does. Looking at the iPhone XS, for example, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I think it's overpriced. I don't think they need to charge $1,000 for the base XS. I think it's too much money. I think they should have lowered it to $900. That said, I think the iPhone XR is in a good spot, and I think people who are blasting it for its low-res display really need to look at things in a better perspective. Big picture, that's what I'm trying to say. Look at things in the big picture, because frankly, the display doesn't really matter for the iPhone XR. And why is that? Because it's meant to be a budget phone. Oh, but you say, how can you have a budget phone at $750? Well, let me clarify this. It's supposed to be a budget Apple phone. Yeah, iPhones are expensive. That's just kind of how they work, and the iPhone XR is no exception, but it's still $250 less than the iPhone XS. Plus, you're getting almost everything that you would get in the XS with the XR, except you do have that lower res display. The iPhone XR is meant for people who don't care about the resolution. It's meant for people who are more concerned about saving a bit of money than about having the nicest display in the world. People are going to buy iPhones. That's just how it works. And if they don't want the lower resolution display, they have the option to go up to the iPhone XS if they'd like to. Now, this is all my opinion. It's fine if you disagree with me. In fact, I encourage that to an extent. Differing opinions bring change and diversity into the tech market. If everybody agreed on everything, there would only be one company out there, and that would result in very little change and competition, so innovation would no longer be a thing. So conversation and disagreements is cool. I encourage that. Toxicity, on the other hand, isn't cool, and so if you just came here to leave a hate-filled comment and dislike the video, go ahead and get it over with. I encourage you to do so quickly so the rest of us can act like mature individuals and discuss this civilly. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion. Nobody's opinion is more right than somebody else's. That said, I'm going to give my opinion and why I think that maybe some people should reevaluate theirs, especially when it comes to the iPhone XR. So where did this all start for me? Well, first off, this wasn't a planned video at all. In fact, I'm doing most of this off script right now, which is always not a good idea because I'm not very good off script, but oh well. I was scrolling through my sub box yesterday and I stumbled on an Unbox Therapy video. I don't know why I'm still subscribed to him, but I am, and it was titled "The iPhone XR is Depressing." Ah, man. Okay, so Unbox Therapy, I have a lot of problems with him. Lou from Unbox Therapy thrives on clickbait and outrage marketing. He loves to try to get a response out of the viewer just from the title and thumbnail because that generates clicks. While I don't necessarily like this method of YouTubing, I do kind of get it. I myself have had to use it in the past because it works, right? There are certain titles that are clicky. In fact, my top viewed video on this channel is "Why Apple Killed the 4S." Now, that is a pretty clicky looking title, but it isn't clickbait because that is actually what I talk about in the video. And so I'll give it to Unbox Therapy. In this case, it isn't clickbait, it's just a clicky title. So, oh well, that's fine. Anyways, the problem isn't the title or the thumbnail, it's the content inside the video. Unbox Therapy is just, he loves to push controversy. He loves to especially rant on Apple because he knows that his fan base really enjoys that. So I can't blame him for doing it. And you know what? It probably is his legitimate opinion, so I'll give him that. That's fine. But I will say, Unbox Therapy is not my favorite YouTuber. He's very biased in what he does, always, and his fan base is one of the worst I've seen anywhere when it comes to tech. Lou posted this video about why the iPhone XR was depressing. And he starts it off with a shot of the iPhone 4. And he says, this right here has the same resolution, the same pixels per inch as the iPhone XR, this 8-year-old device.
Because the iPhone XR is a $750 device in 2018. And I'm sitting here looking at some screen resolution that's identical on a device that came out many years ago.
So his whole point in this video, he draws it out a really long time, but it's really simple. He wishes Apple put at least a 1080p display into the iPhone XR. And I mean, I kind of get it. It's slightly above 720p. It's a similar resolution to the iPhone 8 or whatever. It has that 326 pixels per inch, you know, a retina display. And so he's saying that because they did not put this display in there, it essentially ruins the phone. In fact, he actually directly says that's not what he's saying, but I mean, it is what he's saying.
I'm not suggesting that the phone is completely ruined by the fact that it doesn't have at least a 1080p display.
It's okay to hate the XR's display. In fact, if you think that this is a travesty that the iPhone XR only has a 720p display, then congratulations. You are not in the market for the iPhone XR. Apple doesn't care what you think because you are not the kind of person who would buy the iPhone XR. And this is something Lou kind of mentioned, but not really. Like, he's contradictory. It bugs me. But anyways, Apple doesn't care if you think the iPhone XR's display sucks. You're not going to buy it anyways. If you're saying that, really, even if it had a good display, you probably wouldn't be very interested. Someone like you either is going to stick on the Android side or they're going to buy an iPhone XS. The iPhone XR just isn't an option, and I get that. And so Apple, again, doesn't care what you think. The iPhone XR is for people who don't know anything about screens. That's the vast majority of Apple's market. I think the problem starts is that people leave themselves to be so high and mighty and brilliant when it comes to tech that they get too focused on their own little perspective and don't step back to take a look at the big picture. People don't care. Somebody walks into the Apple store, they see an iPhone XR, they look at it, they say, this looks really cool. Looks like the iPhone 10 from last year, but hey, it's only $750. They look at the XS, doesn't seem that much different to them because they don't know anything. Okay, oh, it's $1,000. Oh, I don't want that. Let's get the iPhone XR. It's cheaper. The iPhone XR is a really good valued phone. Other than the display, the phone itself is really good. And so people are going to buy the iPhone XR. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it outsold the XS, although if it does, I don't know if Apple will ever admit it, so we may never know. Unbox Therapy's video just misses the point of the iPhone XR completely. The phone is not supposed to have a good display. It's just supposed to be an option for people who don't want to spend the money it requires to get an iPhone XS. This is the worst argument against the iPhone XR I've seen, and I mean, he just pushes it and his fans eat it up. And I'm not saying the iPhone XR is necessarily a great phone or that it doesn't deserve some criticism. I think it absolutely does, and I think the most valid criticism for it I've seen comes from Failed Tech, who also did a video yesterday. If you guys don't know Rye from Failed Tech, he has around 20,000 subscribers. I've talked to him quite a bit. He's a great guy, and he did a video yesterday on why he hates the iPhone XR. And you know what? I didn't agree with him, but he had a much more valid point than Unbox Therapy did. He didn't focus on the display because he knows that the people who are going to be buying the iPhone XR don't care. He talks about the fact that the XR is kind of replacing the iPhone SE, and it is. The SE is gone. This is a good cause of concern because not only was the SE much cheaper, but we're also losing an option for those who really like that smaller form factor. You know, that 4-inch display was really nice for a lot of people. The XR is big at 6.1 inches. It just is. Now, again, I do want to counter some stuff he says. For example, at one point, I don't know if he meant it this way, but he says the smallest phone Apple sells is 5.8 inches.
It's a real problem for me because the smallest iPhone we have these days is 5.8 inches. That's the iPhone XS, and I suppose the X if you still go for that.
I think he meant the smallest new phone they sell. They still sell the iPhone 7 and 8 at 4.7 inches, and I'd call those phones fairly small. Obviously, they're not as small as the iPhone SE, but I think a lot of people who had an SE will be able to move to those without too much issue.
Apple is kind of turning away from their core audience, you know, the people who didn't want a large phone, and called every phone above 5 inches at one point an absolute monster and too big, and we should never use a phone that big. And this was only maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Overall, I wish the SE had a direct replacement, or that Apple just kept it around and lowered the price to $250. But the iPhone 7 isn't that bad, and considering it's only $450, which is only $100 more than the SE was being sold for, I think that that's fine. You know, it's not as small, but it's still fairly small, and will still hopefully be an option for those who like smaller phones. If you want to watch his video, I'd recommend it, link below. It was pretty well put together. My biggest problem was with Unbox Therapies. It really kind of bugged me, and so let's go back to that, and let's take a break from Lou for a second, and let's discuss kind of the general fan base he has. I mean, obviously this is resonating with people. If you look at the like-dislike ratio, you have 105,000 likes versus 5,000 dislikes. That's a bit of a gap. That's actually really good. That's like less than 1 in 10. That's like 95%, better than 95% like to dislike ratio. I'm definitely not going to have that that on this video, and I don't have that on most videos, I don't think. Like, that's just really, really good, which means the overwhelming majority of people agreed with Lou when they watched this video, and that video now has like 2 million views too, which is crazy. So let's scroll down to the comments here. Apple died when Steve Jobs passed. Okay, that's pretty typical of people who say, this is why Apple didn't invite you. You'll say the truth on their face. Don't you just hate it when someone says the truth on your face? That's just the worst, man. Yeah, Lou is always a little salty, it seems, that Apple doesn't invite him to events, but I mean, is it really surprising? All he does is rag on them for views, so no, that's no surprise there. Fact, 4.8k idiots, zombies, bots, hipsters, incels, inbreds downvoted this video. Have a great day to y'all. Holy cow, there is so much wrong with this comment, it hurts. 105 people liked this comment. 105 irrational people liked this comment. How? How can something this dumb get liked that much? Like, he's basically saying if you disagree and you dislike this video, you're automatically an incel or inbred. That's like the worst too. Like, seriously? Like, holy cow, man, take a step back. All right, well, moving on from that guy. Can't get any worse than that, I don't think. Am I witnessing the Apple fanboys finally waking up? Once again, Lou, I couldn't have said it better. I unfortunately didn't get a full screenshot of this comment, but it actually was like a whole essay. I couldn't find it again when looking through Unbox Therapy's video. He has like 23,000 comments. I mean, it just got buried. So whatever, just another basic, yeah, you're right, Apple sucks, that kind of thing. He says it doesn't make sense to put this dated PPI resolution into the new phone. I mean, does it though? People don't care. People don't care. The market that this is towards really don't care. And like, all that's doing is keeping costs down. And $750, as much as people hate to hear it, is pretty darn good for a brand new iPhone. As I said before, the R stands for rip off. Laughing, smiling, crying faces, but tilted, so they're funnier. Bro, you are the real man who didn't appreciate Apple iPhone XR and telling its weaknesses. Other YouTubers are praising Apple, but bro, now we know that you are the real man who tells everything merits and demerits. We support only you, bro. A fan from India. Now he's from India, so I'm not gonna make fun of his English, but his general message was pretty dumb. So that's, I think, enough. What other YouTubers are praising Apple? I've seen mostly negativity, other than like Talos of Tech, who's just an Apple fanboy. That's just what his channel is. There aren't really anybody else praising Apple. Maybe Justine, because that's her thing. I don't know. Like, everything I've seen is mostly negative, mostly about the XS and how it's so expensive, and I can't blame people for calling it that. I personally also think it's too expensive, as said before. Anyway, whatever. There's this continuing trend. People seem to always think they're in the minority, even when they're not. I think everyone just wants to be the underdog. They want to be them against the world, when really you're not. I'd say Apple fans are in the minority here, especially on Unbox Therapy's channel. Most people who have iPhones do not care. They know nothing about phones. That's just the vast majority of people who own iPhones. And those who do know stuff, like I do, I would consider myself fairly knowledgeable about technology. I still use Apple because I prefer their software. I just do, as well as their hardware, frankly. So, you know, it's just, it's messed up to me. These people think that they're so unique for liking something other than Apple. They're so special. When are they? No, they're not. They're just part of this huge crowd, and they're just as much sheep as the people they're fighting against. I'm gonna cancel my iPhone XR because I can't watch Unbox Therapy video in 1080p. Well, that would really hurt Apple's feelings if the iPhone XR was available to pre-order, but it's not, so you really can't cancel it yet. But otherwise, a good comment, I guess. He is not pissed off at Apple, just telling the truth. Lou, just ignore the Apple lovers, cause hate is what you get to tell the truth. Oh man, I feel so sorry for Lou. You know, it's him against swarms and swarms of Apple sheep, all carrying their $1,000 smartphones to attack him, and you can just tell by the like to dislike ratio how brave Lou is for taking a stand. 3 years down the line, Apple's going to be a joke of the century. You know, they're not going to be the joke of the century, but they'll still be a joke of the century. You know, they're not going to be the funniest thing, but they're still going to be pretty funny. Honestly, I'm done with these comments. They're all so dumb. You know, there are a couple fairly reasonable ones here and there on both sides. I'm going to give it that. I'm not going to go over them because that's not as entertaining. This video has been admittedly very ranty, and I apologize for that. It's been off script, and that's always a bad idea. It bugs me, you know, it bugs me. The iPhone XR is not going to be this absolutely depressing failure people keep making it out to be just because it has a lower quality display than a lot of other smartphones out there. And to make that notion is ridiculous. The iPhone XR I think is going to sell really, really well. I think it's going to be a great valued phone, and I would recommend buying it over the iPhone XS because I think the XS is too expensive for what it is. The summary of this video is that I think the argument that the iPhone XR sucks because its display sucks just kind of misses the point of it. The display doesn't really matter on the iPhone XR. What matters is that it's still a premium device to an extent and is going to be more than good enough for the millions and millions of people who are going to buy it regardless of the resolution because they don't care or know what a resolution is. I hope you guys don't miss the point. It's totally cool to have differing opinions, and I'm looking forward to reading your guys's in the comments down below. I'm probably going to get a lot of dislikes for this video, so if you want to be a pretty cool dude and hit that like button to help me out, that would be awesome. Thank you so much for watching. This has been a really weird video, and if you've made it to the end, thank you. I don't know what else to say. With that, if you want to hear more from me for some reason, you can always follow me over on Twitter and Instagram at 91_tech, and maybe subscribe for more content. Probably not just like this, although yeah, you never know. That all being said, I'm pretty much done here. I'm Josh from 91tech, and I will see you all next time.